जी का खालसा, Waheguru Ji ki Fateh. Satnam. My name is Siri Sant Kaur from France, and today we're going to be talking about the 18th Pauri of Japji. So this Pauri really resonates in me, and I think it's very relevant to the time we live in, when we are prompted to and asked to react and to act in a very fast manner. Whereas we are very quick to judge and to assert our truth and our beliefs, and whereas this whole power talks about the blindness of the blindness that we all have, including the very humble Guru Nanak Japji, who puts himself as well in this position. So where does that leave us? That's what we're going to explore during this time together. So with this Pauri, we enter in the whole of what the oneness includes. When we see oneness, we usually see union as something positive, immaculate. But if we put the one the other way around, we come with a line, with a beginning, and if not an end, a direction towards the end. And from that beginning to that end, there are many nuances, many colors we may have never considered or never have seen, and what we've not seen, we have no experience. And most of the time, what we like the most is human experience. We don't have the knowledge of what surrounds us and what we are part of. And by being in this ignorance, we are many fools to think that we can see clearly, and we judge. And we're very good at judging. And in this darkness, we see nothing. Our own reality disappears, and the only thing we should know is that we don't see. And if we know a bit more, we may think we discern the intangible. That's for the best case scenario. So we call it the universe, God, or the unknown. And so most of the time when we meditate, we feel that we are part of this great mystery. We are part of an unseen, unrecognizable landscape. By recognizing this sacred space of infinity of which we're part of, it becomes hard to hold on to our beliefs, our limitation. We, little by little, start to drop them off. So we can ask ourselves, but what's left then? How do I lead my life if I'm not to take any decision, if I'm part of a greater energy, reality? Well, that's the difficulty of being empowered and humble. We know we are a tiny particle of the whole, and that gives us the chance to be part of the creation and not think we are the creator. Most of the time we magnify a particle, and we cannot see what's beyond because we're taking so much space with our big self. And we think we are God and the great organizer, and we don't want to recognize the destroyer part of it. And we become blinded by our own light, and that's what destroys us. So this is what this Pauri evokes to my humble understanding of the darkness that can be seen through the light of our soul, without judgment, but with humble action to dissipate the blindness. Like the Greek saying that says, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. I think it's a very relevant dictum. So we're going to start with a Sankachor Haram Kor, the first line of this Pauri. Sank is countless and also relates to infinity. So countless thieves, chor, haram exploiters consume, kor, what they have not earned. So how does that apply to us? They exploit all that they can and they have not earned. Those fools base all of their lives not at what their destiny could be, but what their earthly life can possess. We take from another, we consume something that is not ours, etc. But how does that relate to us? Maybe we can associate it with our lifestyle, in the integrity of our actions. If we want to be true, we ought to live with integrity, tell the truth, take what is ours, take responsibility for our action and words. And this requires to be living with consciousness. Meditate upon action, not be in the reaction, and even the action can be corrupt without us realizing it. So, of course, it's rare that we steal from someone. But if we think of all the goods we get without actually doing anything to have them, then we can consider ourselves being thieves a bit. Because we rarely hunt, build, or craft, and instead we pile up things not only we don't need, but really don't deserve most of the time. And the first thing that comes to my mind is the fashion industry, for instance, the fabric production that ruins the environment with the use of the chemicals, the unacceptable workers' condition, etc. I mean, do we truly refrain from buying, stealing, lying, exploiting by consuming these goods that are not so good? This example makes us closer to be thieves or us participating in thievery. So that's something we can act upon and correct and meditate upon to be true, to not be in those deeds, those bad deeds. Sankamar Karjai Jor. Countless commanders, thieves, dictators are ruling with force. So here it's a bit of the same. I guess none of us are the great dictators that the history has put up on the scene. But since we are one, we are also these dictators. In the worst case, we don't do bad deeds. In the best case, we force our way to things when things should come to us. But again, we are greedy or illusion, and we use the control we falsely believe we have to obtain things. We do it all the time, even with our best intentions. We have problems, we don't want to show vulnerability, or we don't want our entourage to be worried, we don't express ourselves by fear of being rejected, etc., etc. So we control, we command, we dictate ourselves and the world around us. Even in that, we believe that our humility or modesty or low esteem, at the worst, we can control and manipulate the message we send. So that's horrible. What are we left with? Disappearance, death? In a way, yes. The death of our ego, the death of all of our beliefs about what should be done, in what, why, by who, and when, etc. So meditating, breathing, retiring, resting from the Maya world several times a day helps us cut this cycle of command, control, harm that we idly impose on ourselves and on others. Asanka Galva Datya Kamahe. Countless are murderers. But they're also part of the infinity we're all in. So this is our humanity, the humanity of perpetrators, abusers, murderers. We are one consciousness. So we cannot judge anyone, even though the moral or gut feeling or our heart would tell us so. But if we elevate the speech to a higher consciousness, it's very hard to judge anyone. The particle of these people lives within us as well as ours in them. So if we do good, it also resonates within them, even if there's no results to be expected, because it's not our duty to have results. But we are just breathing the same air, and to dust we shall end the same. Asanka papi pap karjai. Countless sinners repeat the same one sin over and over. One sin. And the sin is to be living in darkness, to stay in it, to not want to get out of it. In our blindness, we sin all the time, and the only way not to is to get closer to ourselves by meditating, deconstructing all of what the ego has built up and trapped our mind in. It's a constant disconstruction. That's why we gather within ourselves several times a day to experience that infinity we're part of. Not to be trapped in a mono-dimensional self with all the drawers of our personality where we stock our beliefs, ideas, judgment, etc. But I would also like to go further in the deconstruction because it's not all about the mind, but the ego lies also in our body, in our gesture. So, combining meditation, contemplation of nature with a body approach in consciousness is crucial. Feeling how does our body respond to our touch, to exercise, do yoga, or simply a walk in nature. All we know about ourselves is blindness, that's for sure. The mythology we have built around our lives, around ourselves, our family, our culture, our national culture, our form, our identity, all of it. All of it is only just if put in the essence of the moment. And what do we experience when we meditate? What's left of all this when there's nothing left? There is the moment and the presence in the present. When we experience our infinity, we can finally be in the immanence, the very life of the moment. Asanka korear korefirai. Countless are filthy. By filthy, we can understand dust, dirt as the soil, but also in a more simple, blunt way, rubbish. Our status, our property are rubbish. All that we have created around us is rubbish. We go back to dirt. And by recognizing we are dust, even dirt, the difficulty of being is irrelevant. We can also be as light as dust is. All is dust, and out of a breath it can be blown away. So, can we? And we know it. We've experienced that in our life, that in a split second, things just go away, and we lose all our beliefs, all our constructions. So why don't we take the habit of it and make it a steady meditation on it? Because with the importance we give to our personality, the ego, the beliefs, we weight ourselves with all this, whereas we could be so much lighter. Asanka malech malbakahe, asanka nindak sirkariba. Countless are the unfair. In rubbish they eat and eat. Here we are consuming illusion, eating dirt, eating rubbish, feeding ourselves with illusion and rubbish, dirt, over and over. Sankanindak Karibar, countless slanderers carry their burden on their head. So, what does that mean? When we slander, when we talk ill of someone, we spend our energy on slandering, and we become part of this reality, and therefore we carry this karma on our head, on our mind, on our spirit. Now, there's a saying in French that goes, c'est celui qui dit qui est. It's the one who says who is. I think it's really relevant, and it should remind us of not slandering ever. Otherwise, it's a pretty bad karma we put on ourselves. And also, there's not much. It's not so much about morality, but more about honesty. By speaking ill of the others, we tend to forget that they are our mirror as well. We build our ego. I'm not like this. Oh, look at her, or look at him. But if we only realize again that we are one, we can decide not to go down the slopes, the action we don't agree with in the other. But let's be honest, we all have it within ourselves. It's only up to us not to experience it, but not to judge it. Nanakani Chakahe Vichar Varayana Javaya Kava. So Nanak, the very low, describes this fact, including himself in the very low. Nanak, in his very low position, in his humility, places himself in the same position as all the thieves and the slanderers and the dictators. And so considering himself low and describing these people, including himself in, is part of that oneness, calling himself the lowest of all. So that's a big lesson, because if Nanak Dev Ji, the wise, places himself there, then we must remember where we place ourselves. Pariyana Java Ekava, who am I to speak of you? I have no control. All of this I recognize I don't know, and I am low, and I accept the way the world is created, and I do my best to elevate. Jotu the Babe Sahibarika, whatever is pleasing you, it's great with me. Tu Sada Salamat Nirankar. You are Sada, the only one, forever, Salamat, permanent and formless. Infinity is everywhere, and by meditating and contemplating, we don't see the finite and the limitation. In the permanence of infinity, we are temporary. We are a particle of dust. We are in darkness, and the only light is the one of our soul, our consciousness, that guides us through the dark. It's a big, big lesson, this Pauri, and it's very, I think, very challenging to find the right way to be humble and to yet not install ourselves or settle down in this humility. Because sometimes when we settle down, we forget. We lie in the comfort of the position, and then we forget what the position is about. So I guess that's why we need to repeat and meditate on the name several times a day, and that's why it's the same in every spirituality or religion. We need to be reminded several times a day, and remind ourselves, not to be reminded, but to remind ourselves and to be in connection with that space where we feel we are one. There's no limitation, no ending, no beginning, no form. We dwell in God. And also came to my mind that maybe that's why the concept of seva is so important in the Sikh culture, because in our ability to bow and to humbly accept we are part of something bigger that we cannot control, but we can act upon to alleviate the burden of the others and ourselves. I think it's a wonderful poetry. Thank you so much for being here today, and I wish you a beautiful life of no limitation, love, and humility, kindness, and oneness. Satnam.
असंख मूर्ख अंधकोर, असंख चोर हराम खोर, असंख अमर कर जाहे जोर, असंख गल वड हत्या कमाए, असंख पापी पाप कर जाहे, असंख कूड़ियार कूड़े फिराहे, असंख मलेश मल पख खाहे, असंख निंदक सिर कर है पार, नानक नीच कहा विचार, वार्या न जावा एक वार, जो तुद पावै साई पलिकार, तू सदा सलामत निरंकार।